Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
So when I'm talking about the CSV data imports initially, what is data migration? We have discussed multiple times what data migration is all about. Even in the last class, before last class, I was discussing what is data migration. Just to reiterate what data migration is all about again. Any implementation, not only NetSuite implementation, but even if it is an SAP implementation or even if it is an LN implementation, any ERP implementation that you do, customers might be having previous ERP. Correct. So they might be switching from N to NetSuite or Salesforce to NetSuite or Buildcom to NetSuite or maybe Oracle Fusion to NetSuite, SA to NetSuite. So all these things are a possibility. There is something called as QuickBooks also. So when you're doing the implementation, so these customers who already have data LN Salesforce, Buildcom, Fusion, SAP QuickBooks. So all this data needs to be brought into NetSuite. Correct. That is number one. So that is nothing but your data migration. Simple as that. I mean, the word itself explains you that you're migrating your data from one system to another. That is one sort of customers. Now there might be some other customers who do not know what ERP is. No ERP. So these guys maintain the data in Excel sheets, in Word documents, in SharePoints, in Google Slides. So even this data needs to be imported for that matter. Anything that you have, even this data needs to be imported, so that is also part of data migration. Now what happens is initially when we are done with the personalization session, record to report, procure to pay order to cash, design to build, make to order, lead to code. So once we are done with all these personalization sessions, then there would be a data migration session which is conducted. Now under the first instance of data, migration happens just as sample data, which is 5 vendors, 5 customers, complete start of accounts. We need the entire thing. Then class is what subsidiary actually. Subsidiaries, all subsidiaries, classes, departments. And then your employees, contacts, partners. So the entire list, all this list is nothing but your master data, which you would be using over and over again. You have vendor categories. You have customer categories. And then you have payment terms. How many months or how many days is the customer or vendor going to make the payments? All these things you can actually specify. So the first set of data migration happens this way. Only the sample data. Then the reason and also items. By the way, items, 5 items of all types. It could be inventory, it could be non-inventory. It could be your assembly items. It could be your matrix items. It could be your expense items. All these things. We need 5 of each category so that we can do a walkthrough with the customer. What is a walkthrough? You will take all these examples and then you will do walkthrough for each process area. R2R. You know the abbreviations of all of these, so I am not repeating it again. Leap to code project to cache. Make to order. And then you have CRAMM stuff, which is marketing to ROI. So all these walkthroughs you will do based on the data that you have already imported into the system. This is the data. Now, once the walkthrough 2 is completed, then there is a UAT that happens. So user acceptance testing with the entire processes. Whatever you have showcased to the customer, they will test the entire data. And then there is a walkthrough 2 that happens. In some companies, these are called CRPs as well. CRP is Classroom Pilot. The session is called as Classroom Pilot. In few of the companies, they are called the same. So even on the walkthrough 2, the same thing is repeated once again. However, these are client-led sessions. This time, the functional consultants do not lead the sessions. The client lead the sessions and they will walk you through their system if they are stuck somewhere. If there are any doubts, then the functional consultants will pitch in and do that. And then the actual phase of the data migration comes into picture. So what is this? Here you would do the complete data migration, not the sample data. Everything in full. Everything has to be completed, not sample, but whatever data they have. They have to provide the data and then you have to create it in the system. The reason you do that is we are just about to go live. So that is the reason entire list of data is imported into the system. Now, along with that, there are something called as open transactions, which also need to be imported. What are open transactions? If the client is going live as on April 1st, there are some open POs with the previous system purchase orders. That has to be imported. There might be some open sales have not been processed yet within the system. Those have to be imported. Correct? And then there might be open AP. Open AP is your accounts payable, which means the purchase order is processed. Item receipt is done, but the payment is pending. The bills are pending. It is nothing but your pending bills. So this is what open bill. Open AP is nothing but your pending bills. Then you will have open AR, accounts receivable. This is called accounts receivable. So any pending invoice. For better understanding, I will say purchase bills. Usually they are called as vendor bills in NetSuite and then customer invoices. So any open transaction, any open invoice that is there in the previous system has to be brought into the system and then the trial balances. So each GL account will have certain balance. Correct? From the previous transactions, from everything, they will have certain balances and for the past 1 year, they are imported into the system. That is called your trial balances and then open inventory. So open inventory is nothing, but there is some inventory in the warehouse. and which existed in the previous system as an open inventory. The inventory is already available, but then it is not getting into the system. So you have to bring in the, let us say I have, 10,000 quantity of item A. And then I have 500 of quantity B of item B. So these quantities have to reflect in NetSuite. It should reflect in NetSuite as well, correct. So that also needs to be migrated into the system. So that is what is your data migration. So why do we say only the sample data initially? Because the full data takes time obviously, and we want the customers to get acquainted to the CSV templates that we share with them. So, as I have told you earlier, all the CSV templates for every transaction, vendors, customers, chart of accounts, subsidiaries, classes, departments, employees, contacts, partners, open POs, open sales orders, open inventory, trial balances. And then what else? Open invoices, open vendor bills, because all these have got separate CSV templates. So the employer that you are working for, let that be your open text or Oracle that you're working for RSM company. So they provide these templates in a standard format. And these templates are actually put on the file cabinet for the users to access them. They access all these templates, fill in the data, put it back on the file cabinet once again. The consultants retrieve it from the file cabinet and input that into the system. So now I'm going to show you a sample CSV template, how exactly it looks like. Now what I have here is an assembly item template. So there are 4 rows in a standard template. These are 4 or 5 rows that you have here. So each row, what it actually determines is this is your field ID external ID item, IDU PC code display name. So for every field, as I have mentioned earlier, there is a field ID. Whenever you click on any field, for that matter, you get into any field and click on the field help, you will see the field ID. This is the field ID. For every field, it will be available. Likewise, this is the field ID. So the first row that you see, the entire row is your field IDs for that particular field. Now the next row is actually the field name. What is exactly that field name? So on the external ID, on the number you can click on, this number is the field name. When I click on this account number is the field ID. So the second row denotes field names. And the third row determines what is this actually, what is the use of this external ID. Entire explanation is provided in the third column, third row, in fact. So this is the unique backend identifier for inventory item. Should be unique for all the item records. This can be used to create a parent-child relationship and to link other records set with these items. That is how it is very clear. Every field name is actually present in this standard template. So the standard template that you have here, every field description is already available. And whatever you see in bold red color is a mandatory field. So without this field being displayed, being populated, you will not be able to import your records. Anything in black is a non-mandatory field. It's up to you. It's up to the customer if they want to provide it or not. So there is on every field, on every form, there are certain fields that you can see. When I go into new, and that is an assembly item form that I have shown you earlier. So if I scroll down, there is something called as assembly. Items are not enabled. No issue. So if I click on non-inventory item, So there are so many fields that you will be able to find. Now, every field that you have here will be a part in that form. Item name number is mandatory because there is an asterisk over here. So that is the reason it is mandatory. External ID is mandatory because we actually, as I told you earlier, whenever you import it through a CSV, you can map an external ID to that. So all these fields will be available. Now on the fourth row, you will see the type of that field. What is an external ID? You can specify alphanumeric number. What is the name of the item? You can specify that in alphanumeric number. Likewise, if you go whenever you see it as a list. When you say it as a list, it means that it is a master data which is already created in the system. So we have created the vendor already. Let us assume that we have created the vendor. So you have to select only from the available list. You cannot give whatever you want to. If the vendor is saying A, B, seek XYZ, then the field under this, the data that they provide also should be A, B, C, XYZ only. It cannot be anything else. So whatever, you pull it out of the list. Unit types is a list. Stock units is a list. Purchase unit is a list. Sale unit is a list. I'll tell you what these units are, by the way, a little later. So all now subsidiary is mandatory. Whenever you are defining an item, you can have your subsidiary and that subsidiary. You know it is a list again because subsidiary is already created. You have. Do you want to include children or not? That also is included already. Department class location. All these are lists because you already created them in the system. So there is an order with which you have to create your data. First create subsidiary, then create your classes, location and department. And then you will create chart of accounts. The reason you create chart of accounts later is because you have to pull this information on the chart of account. What information? Subsidiary class and location. You have to specify which location does that chart of account belong to, which subsidiary does it belong to. So all this have to be created. Likewise, after creating these things, then you will create your vendors and then your customers. So on the vendors, you will pull the subsidiaries. So after doing all these things, you will import your items. And by the time you're importing your items, you already have your subsidiary in the system. You already have your include children, you have your class location department, and then you also have your vendors and customers already listed down in the system. Then you can actually pull that information and specify that in the data sheet. So, likewise, you can specify what is your purchase price, what is your purchase description. So usually what happens is when you provide this data, customers actually, and then the fifth row indicates how many characters you will be able to provide in that, the maximum number of characters that you can specify for that data. So customers have to be mindful that external ID cannot exceed 60 characters. The name cannot exceed 60 characters. And then 180 characters is for the UPC code. So this is already specified in the system. You cannot modify that. You cannot extend the number of characters in the system and say that even if it is 60, you give me 63, I'll adjust it somehow. No, it doesn't work that way. If it is 60, it has to be 60 only. You have to tell all these things to the customer. The way I'm explaining it to you now, this is exactly the way that you will be explaining it to the end users as well, because they are the ones who have to fill in this particular sheet. So you have to explain them each row what it is, and you know how it needs to be done. All these things you have to specify to them. Likewise, you can create custom fields on your records. Custom fields also can be created, and I will show you how the custom fields are created. I think it's better I create one custom field and show you before we import it. I can show that to you later. So when a custom field is created, these are the custom fields these are just the placeholders for the custom fields which you have provided. Now, the name of the custom field can be something like anything. It could be a weight, it could be your length, it could be your breadth, or whatever you want to create it as a custom field. You can specify that custom field, and the custom field also can be mapped in the CSV imports. So I will show you how exactly those things are mapped. So once you get the data, all you got to do is delete this entire row. We don't require that, and then select all this and delete. Once that is deleted, only you will have what is the field. This is how your actually CSV import looks like. So you have to specify what is your external ID for this, external ID for that, and then this external ID, and then what is the item name. All these things would be available. UPC code, display name. Everything will be listed down here. Let us not save this sheet. I'll just close this down. There are standard sheets which are already provided. For vendors, these are already created in the system. These sheets will be available to you. All you have to do is just dump them on the file cabinet. You don't have to work out on the fields and everything. All you have to do is get those sheets from your employer. Whoever is your employer, they would provide you vendor sheet, customer sheet, subsidiary class, location, department chart of accounts partners, contacts items, non-inventory item, inventory item. All these have got different sheets. So all these are already predefined and they'll be available for you on some SharePoint. You don't have to create anything. Don't worry about creating these sheets. That is not your job. So these red options that you see here are the mandatory fields. As simple as that. And these are already created. You don't have to worry about anything. This is how your sheet looks like. Very simple. You have to validate the data, and how do you validate that? There are certain list items that I have shown you. What is the list item? Units type is a list item. So whatever data they have provided, you have to go into the system and validate that that particular units type is already listed in the system. And this is the units of measure, and this is the units. The weight. Weight is already there. So that is how you validate, and you don't validate that. You have to explain to the customer saying that if you provide units type, it has to be available in the system, or create a unit type and then provide it to us. Likewise, stock unit. If I go into my weight, pounds is listed, kilograms is listed, but grams is not there. You see this? The sale unit grams is not there. So all you have to do is make sure that whatever is given by the sheet is actually available to you. So kilogram to grams, there is a conversion rate that you can specify. 1000 grams is 1 kilogram. It is in pound. 1 sec. 2 is 1 pound. So you have to 200 grams is 1 pound. So you have to convert that. And so that is how you validate the sheet if this grams is available or not. Whatever is your list, type in this sheet. List wherever it is listed as list, which means it is already available in the system. So that list has to be available. So grams is one thing which was not there and we have created that. And then subsidiary. So there is a, if you go into your subsidiaries, this is the subsidiary. So there is an internal ID specified for subsidiary. Here, when you are importing, you can actually specify what is that internal ID. So number 3, internal ID is actually not there. So I can change the subsidiary to 9 and I will show you how to map the subsidiary with the internal ID. So usually this subsidiary, if you want to specify it as a name, then this is how you need to specify. You have to say parent company, space colon. And then you also have to specify what is the child. If you're specifying Australia and if you give only Australia, it doesn't work that way. It has to be the complete hierarchy which you have to provide. And what is the hierarchy? Or is it gone? What is the hierarchy? This is your hierarchy. This is how you have to specify what is your subsidiary. Wherever there is a parent-child relationship. This is how you have to specify if you want to give the name. So, to simplify things, if you do not want to give the name, just give the internal ID, which is very simple. And I'll show you how to map the internal ID. Internal ID here for Australia is 9. So I have specified internal ID there. Include children? I'm saying yes. Well, do we have any children under Australia? No, but still, even if you give include children, it doesn't harm. And I told you about the landed cost yesterday, how the landed cost can be tracked. So that information there are certain, let me show you. Let me get into the items. There are certain fields which are just checkboxes. So I go into the inventory item. Even my include children is a checkbox, so I made it true or false, that's it. So if I go into the purchasing inventory, there's something called as track landed cost here. It is just a checkbox. So you say true or false, track landed cost. Costing method. There is a little functionality behind the costing methods. I'll let you know what is an average. IFFO. What is LIFO? IFO is nothing but first in, first out, which means whichever goods come in first have to go out first. So IFF or costing method is usually used in food and beverages industries. The reason behind that is you have expiration date linked with your food and beverages, chips packets, or cool drinks or anything that you have. There is a set expiry date. So that is the reason why using the costing method, we will use first in, first out, whatever comes in first. Today I got 100 cans of Coca-Cola. And 10 days later I got another 50. So which one would you sell first? The items which you got first will be sold out first because you don't want to keep that stock waiting because there is an expiration date for them. Wherever you have food, wherever you have beverage, wherever you have medicines, pharmacy, all these industries, they actually use the first in, first out formula. Average. What is an average? So costing, first of all, what is a costing method? Costing method is for any item that you sell, there is a cost associated with it. How do you define that costing through this costing method? What is an average? So I bought 10 bicycles today. That's in my stock. I bought other 90 bicycles tomorrow. I bought another 200 bicycles, third day. For all different prices. The first lot could be a little costlier because I just bought 10. The second lot could be a little cheaper because I got 90. The third lot could be even cheaper because I just bought it for, got 100 quantity. So the average, which is nothing but 200 divided by the total price. That is, what is your average price, average costing for that particular item. And based on that average price, you will define what is your sales price. What is the gain percentage is defined based on that. And LFO is last in first out. Whatever comes last will go first out. This is actually used for heavy machinery, heavy vehicles, which occupy a lot of space. In that case, they use the LIFO. So your costing method is also list. If you see it, it has to be either FFO, IFO or average. You cannot say sum of average, sum of FFO, sum of LFO, FO and LFO together. All these you cannot say. It has to be any one of these three, and here we have mentioned it as average. So let us import 5 items. I'm done with 4. I'm really not sure if it is already available. So what to do is we will take 99999998. So let us see. 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 The entire data is provided by the client. What external ID do they need is what is provided here. All. So these 5 items we will try to import into the system and we'll see how it works. So whenever you want to import certain data, there is a place that you go. The navigation is setup, import, export and then import CSV records. And on the CSV file that you have to ensure that there are no 2 tabs. It won't work out. Only one tab should be there. So on the import export file option, then you have all these import types. You have your accounting activities, classification, communication. Every record type will be available. Now, when we are importing the items, you select items directly and then you can select if it is a non-inventory item, if it is a lot numbered item, if it is a serialized item. Item group non-inventory item for purchase, non-inventory item for sale. So this is how you can select these forms based on what data you are actually importing into the system. That is in case of items. Now let us say you want to import chart of accounts. So chart of accounts is a part of accounting. Click on accounting and then you can have chart of accounts here. Under accounting, you can have chart of accounts, consolidated exchange rates, currency exchange rates, item collection. All these come under the accounting. So the exercise for you today is going to the import and export tab and make sure that you're going through each and every import type that you have here. Click on activities and see what will come under the activities. You have a phone calls, tasks and events. Where are these things? Activities, scheduling phone call, tasks and events. Instead of creating it manually here, You can create it in bulk by using these things. And next, if you can go into your custom records, there are something related to fixed assets management, the electronic payments. All these would be available here. This is all your fixed assets management. This is your entity bank details. We will not be going through each and everything here. I will just walk you through one file, how exactly that needs to be imported. And then you can actually do that. And if you want to import your vendors or customers, then you go into relationships. The reason you're going to relationships is because all your entities are listed under the relationships, prospects, customers, leads, vendors, contacts. Everything is listed down here, so you can select vendors. And then import your vendors, or you can select your customers and import your customers. That is what you have to do. So as of now, what we are doing, we are trying to import our items. And what type of item is it? It's an inventory item. So select that, scroll down, and you have to upload your sheet which you have created. Select this templates inventory sample 27. Oh my god. Is this not the one? Hold on. I saved it. Let us see. Select. Something wrong. Where did I save it? Inventory sample. I have selected that. So this is how you have to select your file and then click on next. There are three options here. One is add, one is update, one is add or update. What they do is, if these items do not exist in the system, because these are brand new items that I'm trying to create with an external ID. So I select add. Now, later on after importing my items, I want to update this purchase units as grams and not kilograms. In that case, I can just provide the external ID like this, and then I can just provide the purchase units as grams. Click on update and then go next. It will automatically update these fields because the external ID is already exist in the system and we are trying to update. So that is what your update will do. And then what is add or update? So there are 5 records that I want to update. These are the existing ones, and there are 2 more items that I want to import. New brand, new items that I want to import. In that case, I fill the entire data for these 2 fields, these 2 items, and then I click on add or update. Only these 2 will get added. The other 5, which are already in the system, will get updated with the new value in the purchase units or any other field. Not only the purchase unit, but anything that you give. It automatically updates that particular field over there. So these are some of the advanced options that you have here. You have to pick what is the custom form. The form is nothing, but when you are dealing with anything, you know if it's an item, chart of account, or whatever it is. You have the forms which are already listed within the system. Where is the form? This is the form. And you can have multiple forms. You can create multiple forms. I will show you how to create these forms. Don't worry about it. I will show you how to create the forms. The forms are listed down here. You go to customization forms. These are entry form. These are transaction forms. All these forms you can customize and create your own forms. I will show you how to do that. So that is a custom form which can be selected. Now there is an option called as Run Server Suite Script and Trigger Workflows. This is related to the technical thing, so if you have created any script on that item, if you have created any workflow on that item, do you want them to be triggered along with your data? This is what the option is all about. Log system notes for custom fields. Do you want to log the notes and everything is listed down over here? So after this is done, you have to click on Next. So once you click on the next option, whatever you see on the left hand side are. So whatever you find here. These are the ones which you have on your Excel sheet. All the fields and what you see here are the NetSuite fields. So you have to match each field with the field on the hand side. There are certain things which are automatically mapped because the purchase price, whatever you mentioned in the Excel sheet, is exactly listed down here on the hand side as purchase price. So it automatically picks it up. External, it got picked up automatically. Include children, got picked up automatically. Casting method, all these things have been picked up automatically. So what is not picked up? Anything which is in red is not picked up. So all you have to do is get it down, the stock units here, or just click on it. Oh no. It just got picked up. Hold on. Purchase price. This is purchase price. 1 second. Purchase price is purchase price. So you have to click on this line here. Once you do that, there is a little gray color arrow mark which highlights that you are dealing with this particular row. And then click on something that is not mapped. Stock units is not mapped, so click on that. Now, what is stock units? On the hand side, you have to search for that stock unit which is your primary stock unit. It is listed down as primary stock unit, and that is the reason it did not map automatically. What you have mentioned in the Excel sheet is not matching with your next week field, and that's the reason it did not map it. So you have to select it. Now the primary stock unit is selected. And the little gray box, gray triangle that you see here, it went to the next row. Click on your purchase units. Where is the purchase unit? Primary purchase unit, it will be, there you go. Click on this. And then you have your sales unit. Map it to the sales unit. Primary sales unit. And you have your description. Where is the description? Description should be same. I think it is item description maybe. And that's the reason it did not map. So we'll see that item name number. If you don't find it, simply do a Ctrl F. It is a purchase description. Sales description, stock description, whatever you want to map it to, you can actually do that. Purchase description is already mapped. Let's map it to the sales description. That is done. And then your cost category. Cost category. So category. Cost category. I think it's not there. Cost category. If I map everything, if I list down everything from the NetSuite, then you will not know how to map it. Everything will be auto-mapped and will just go next, which I didn't want to show. So it is not mandatory that you have to fill. I mean, you have to map everything which is there. If it is a mandatory field, then only you can map it. If it is not there, cost category is not something mandatory, so you can leave it. So default ATP which is available to promise. there is something called as available to promise. But if that is there or not, let's see. Available to promise. ATP-TP default shipping method is there. I think that is not just. Why is it not? Maybe some features have to be enabled. For the manufacturing features, they have to be enabled. That's the reason these are not available. So that is one thing. And there are so many fields that you can see here on the CryoJS account billing account commodity. So all these are not mandatory. But when you provide the sheet to the customer, all these fields will be available for them to provide the data. If they provide, you can actually import them. If they don't have, and that's fine. Income account and everything. Now, why are we not mapping the income account or the CLIS account and everything? Because if you remember, while doing the accounting preferences under the accounting tab, we have already specified what are the default accounts that need to be mapped to the items. So once I save this, once I import these items, then all those accounts will be auto-mapped from my accounting preferences. So I spoke about the internal ID. So how do you specify the internal ID? Whenever on every field that you have here, there's a little pencil icon that you see here on the left hand side. So click on that pencil icon. It will open up and then you say that instead of the name, see, you see this, the names. This is how they are listed with the parent company colon, your child parent company colon, your child subsidiary parent company colon, United States West East. So instead of doing this, you can actually say, I want to pick my internal ID and say, so you provided internal ID in your sheet as 9 and there is an Australian subsidiary with internal ID 9 and that's what? That's how it picks up. That is one way of doing it now. The other way of doing it is if you know that all these 5 items belong only to one subsidiary. In that case, you can hard code that subsidiary. Click on this pencil icon again. Instead of providing the internal ID here, you say provide default value and I can select Australia here directly. And then it defaults. You see this parent company Australia has got defaulted automatically. But the only drawback with this is that you cannot import the data with multiple options. Now here I can say the subsidiary is 9 and then I can say this is 10 and then I can say this is 8. So likewise you can actually specify what is the subsidiary internal ID, but if you are hard coding it here, the entire data is mapped only to one subsidiary. I mean, see, if you know that it all belongs only to one subsidiary, then you can actually hard code it. But if you think that it actually belongs to different subsidiaries, then instead of providing the default value, you will have to provide the internal ID. Now where is that gone? Why? Let's remove this again. Usually it is available. I don't know why. I mean the internal ID part. It has to be available, but we'll map it again. Subsidiary. And then where is my subsidiary? So I can drag and drop this also instead of clicking. Sorry, dropped somewhere else. I can do this and then I say internal ID, click on this internal ID and any questions on this? So this is very simple, guys. You scan and upload your CSV file import options, file mapping, field mapping. You have to map your left side fields with the side fields and then you might get certain errors while importing. Let us see what would be the error now. Instead of doing the internal ID, I will provide error. Even providing an value will not give me any error. Not this, probably will take something else. I just wanted to show you an error. If we upload this straight away, it just goes in and without any errors, it will do it. So let's do one thing. We went into the, what was that? What was that? UR, units of measure. So I have corrected. I have validated and I have corrected this already. What I'll do is I just remove my grams. I'll remove my grams from here and my Excel sheet has got grams now. So let us see what error the system throws when we do that. Likewise you have, oh my, what's the stock units and all are gone. I think it's because we went back. Let's map it quickly. I don't know why. What's your stock unit? She is unit. Primary is purchase unit. Say unit. Primary sale unit. We are good. Now let's click on next. So if I do not want to do the mapping again, so if I just click on run, it will not save it. So what I'll do is I will save my inventory item mapping latest. I'll show you what needs to be done and then I click on save and run. So we go into the job import status. So there are 0 or 5 records imported. You click on the CSV response and you will see what is the error. What's the error? Invalid subsidiary reference key number 9. Because we did not change that to internal ID while doing it. So let's go back to our now. You don't have to do the mapping again because I have saved. So you go to setup import export. Instead of going into the import CSV records, you will go into saved CSV imports. You click on save CSV imports and then you will search for what I have done. Inventory item mapping. Click on this. The first page. Let us select the file again. Call next. You add or update. That is the reason it did not go through. That's fine. Click on next. Hold on, let's see what happened to this. I went into CSV report. This is not the one, hold on. I think I created latest. I named it latest. This one. That's the reason it did not go through. Now scroll down. Select this next. So the mapping would be available automatically. The mapping is still there. I don't have to do it again. So click on the subsidiary. Maybe we did not change it to see it as names. That is the reason we got that error. And then we will save and run it again. This time we should be picking up another error, I think. Let us see. It's just working. Perhaps a unit is not a mandatory field. Let us go to the CSV response again. You see this? There is an error, and that error, even before importing, I've actually corrected it. So just to show it to you how the errors would look like, I changed it. So let us go back to your item, the COL again, OU. I'm sorry you got your UM. And then go to the weight, the unit type weight, and now I will define it as grams, whatever it is. And then I say gram. And then 2200. My pound is the base unit actually. So I have defined that. Now let's go back to the CSV imports again. Go to setup imports. You see. Save CSV report. Latest mapping for inventory. Open this and you can actually view the mapping also. If you click on view, it will show you all the mapping. The entire mapping, what you have done for that particular items can be saved here. Who's done this? It's me who has done this. Created by, when was it done? March 14th, last modified. Who's done that? And you can actually change this to public and private also. So if I mark it as private, only I will be able to access this mapping. So if if three of you should also be able to access this mapping, then I click on this and make it public. If I save it, then you will also be able to access that. So let us take this again. Scroll down. Select your file. Let's add it. Everything is already listed down. Oh, it is asking for tax schedule, which was not there earlier because we did not give the add up. This is a mandatory field, guys. So whatever is mandatory, it will actually ask us what it is coming as. Click on this tax schedule and you can select it directly. Non-taxable. We know that every item is non-taxable. I can provide it directly. Where is the subsidiary now? Did it get saved as internal? ID perfect. I click on next. Save and run. So let us see, like this you might encounter certain errors. So all you have to do is click on the CSV response, see what is the error, and then you can correct your errors and move forward. Whenever you're importing, there's a very good chance that you might end up with certain errors. That's because it's a trial and error method. And I mean, if you are verifying everything even before you import. See, there is another error which has come in. We'll see what that is. If you are correcting everything even before importing, then that's fine. You must specify. You must specify COGS account for this inventory item asset and TOGS account. The reason for that is maybe on the accounting preferences it is not set up. Let's go to the accounting preferences. August is not set up default COGS account. This is not set up, so I can set it up. I set it up actually, but I think someone has removed it. Oops, what's happening? Cost of goods sold. I should be able to see an account here. So 55,000. If you remember, I have set this up. Someone must have removed it. So default asset account and default cows account. I am setting it up at a company level so that it won't ask me while I'm importing it in the unit while importing the items, or else what all you have to do is you have to specify what is the FIOJS account and what is the asset account in this. At the last you scroll here, you have to specify your THUGIS account and then asset account and then import. That will also work. It's not that you have to specify it over there. So let us go back. Go back to your imports. Save CSV import. It is what. Let's pick it up. Upload your file. Just this time, everything will be defaulted. Click on Next. And hold on mandatory field missing. I understood what it is. Here, I provided some data a little while ago. That is the reason it is asking me for the mandatory. All you have to do is just select these rows. Click and delete. So go back. It's asking for this also. I've put in some data. That is the reason it will think that there is some data here and it will ask for the updates. So let's go back. Scroll down, remove the select. We don't have the error now. So anytime you get that error, just remember that you select all those blank cells over there and then delete it. Let us see if we get any errors. I'm ensuring that we get some errors so that you would understand how I'm clearing them and how we are moving forward. If it's taking time, it is understood that probably the records are going through. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. I know we are already past 1 hour, but we'll finish off the CSV imports today. Only 4 or 5 records imported successfully. Why? Click on the CSV response. So for that one record, it will show you what is the error again. See in this item what I have done. 999, and instead of doing 9 for 1, I have specified it as 10. So 10 internal ID is not there in the system, 8 is there, 9 is there, and that is the reason it threw an error and did not import that record. So you go to your subsidiaries. Randomly while changing it, I changed it to 10. So go to subsidiaries and then you will see that 9 and 8 are already there. But 10 is not there. So what you will do? Under this results page, you will delete this error. And you will save only this file because you have to import it again. Simple. Go here, import saved, CSV imports, and then latest. Click on the mapping. Now instead of selecting the original file, you will select one item that I have done. Select next. Save and drop. Let us go back and we'll see what is the status of that. Oh, why threw an error again? Invalid subsidiary. Now what it is, we have deleted that. Come here. And then subsidiary. What was it like? I don't know. We'll say 9 instead of 10. We are saying it as 9 now. Go back to the same procedure again. Set up import export. So guys, this saving of CSV imports is very important. This is just a one-time activity that you will do. And then you can import the inventory items as many number of times you want to do as possible. You will have one CSV import for items, one CSV import for non-invented items, one CSV import saved for chart of accounts, so on and so forth. For every record that you are importing, you will have a saved CSV import which is already there. So when you are dealing with this multiple times, you don't have to go ahead and do it again and again. So all my 5 records are imported now. So where exactly can I see my items? You go into the items list of items and click on this internal ID, which means we are sorting it with the internal ID. What is the latest internal ID? We are just bringing it up and these are our items. This is how you actually import your items. If you want to see how your fields are displaying, then again same thing. The saved search, click on Customize View. Pull in the external ID which you have created under the Results tab. What you will do, scroll down, go to the external ID, pull it out. And then subsidiary. Pull that out. And then what all fields have you added? You have a costing method. You can pull it out. You have your track landed cost. If it is enabled or not to see, you can pull that out as well. So likewise, you can pull everything that you have here like stock units. I have to do this first. What is my primary units type? What is my stock unit type? Everything you can actually specify that and pull it out. And what I'm doing now? I'm just creating a saved search for the items that I have already created. And how do you filter only the 5 items that you have created? So click on this More Options. Under the criteria. What I'm saying is you go back to the criteria and there is something called as a created. And what is the date created? From March 14 to March. Today I'm setting up this criteria that whatever is created today, I want to view. So click on Preview and it will display only the records that we have created. As simple as that. 5 records. Because I just created 5, I'm able to see only these 5. Only these 5 items are there, so I can import 500 items at a time. I can import 5000 items at a time. So the limit is unknown. In that CSV file, you can import up to 1000 records at a time. That is the upper limit. Usually no one goes and does that. I mean, it's probably in fixed assets. It is done. Usually in case of fixed assets, there are like 10 to 11,000, 12,000 fixed assets sometimes, and for them it is done. But for the other things it is simple. So today we have discussed the entire CSV import process. And then I also shown you how you pull out the data that you have created using your saved search. I have not saved this saved search as yet. I just clicked on Preview. If I save it, 5, I can save this. I can save this and say available as menu. All these things, and I make it public, available as list view, and I save it. So anytime I can just go ahead and pull out these results. I can just type in here 5 items, and that gives me my saved search. I can click on that and pull all the information which I have imported already. So you can go into the item, actually click on this item, any one of the items you can get into the item, and then you will see that the display name is there. You know the subsidiary is Australia and I included children. The primary stock unit, purchase unit, sale, unit weight. Everything is updated for me. And then if you go into the accounting tab, this is important guys. You see this? The Quarks account is already updated because I mentioned it in the preference. The asset account is updated because the preference is there. Income account is there. I've mentioned in the preference, everything is mandatory and it gets picked up from my accounting preferences over there. Intercompany account is there. My Quarks account, asset account. Don't get confused with Quarks and asset and what I'm talking about now. Tomorrow, when we are actually doing the chart of accounts, then you will understand what is this terminology all about. For now, just understand that I have specified it at the accounting preferences level and it is all listed down here. My costing method got picked up as average purchase price is 1000 that I have mentioned, so on and so forth. So play around with this file. Change the external IDs, change the names, change your display names, change your unit type, stock unit, purchase unit, sale unit that you have in the system. Only the one that you have in the system, you can do that. Change your subsidiaries and try to import and go to Setup Import Export Saved CSV Imports. Don't go to the Saved CSV Import initially. Import your own record. Click on Import and you save your own CSV import and you see how it works so that you can actually do that. So this is how you bring in the data. Now I imported 5 items. I can import 5 non-inventory items. I can import 5 windows, 5 customers, full chart of accounts. Subsidiaries, location, departments are already there. We're not importing anything going forward because everything is already listed down here. I have my vendors, I have my customers, I have my subsidiaries, location, departments that we've already created. So I just showed you how to create them manually. I showed you how to create it through CSV import as well. So just in case you know, if you try to import, you will get all these things. I'm going to send you all these files to you. They will be available for you on the LMS. So please, my request is go through the CSV import process and ensure that you are actually doing that. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.